Hey, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the FBTV live video podcast. Well, we're live if you're an insider. If you've got access to the FBTV Insider, you've got access to all of the content. And if you are an FBTV Insider subscriber, some of that content, or, well, you've got access to all of it anyway. But that includes the BTS of the video podcast, live video podcast. We do a video podcast every week. We put it up on YouTube. It is also the audio podcast. So if you're following us via your favorite podcasting app, well, you're going to be hearing the audio portion of the podcast, which is what a podcast is. We just added the video for fun. And again, FBTV subscribers to FBTV Insider content, they're actually able to watch the podcast live as we are producing it. It's Friday morning, TGIF. It's 8:15, and man, we are behind, but we pretty much stay that way. We're so busy. But that's a good thing. You know, it's better to be busy than not be busy. What's coming up today? Going to be talking about fuel prices. Fuel price is going to be the basically the topic of the day, but we're going to answer a Q&A. We got one of those. Some news headlines. I think last week, and my information I got was wrong. I think last week I told you that the time change was last Sunday morning, and my crack research team that gets me all this information and gathers it for me, that's what they told me, or that's what was on my information anyway, my sheet. And come to find out, no, it's this Saturday. This Saturday. Not making it up this time. This Saturday, spring forward daylight savings time starts Sunday morning, 2 a.m. Set your clocks ahead. Spring forward, fall back. You know, I've been seeing stuff in the news. Anytime there's a time change, they are always, constantly talking about changing it, doing away with it. Why would you want to do away with daylight savings time? Unless you were planning on making daylight savings time the, 365 days out of the year, going to that full time. I'm for that. I'd like for it to stay light later. In the winter months, yeah, it's kind of fun for that, have a 5 p.m. dark, but that gets old too pretty quick. And, but, even then it'd be 6 p.m. And you give the sun, one more hour to melt things off. But that's neither here nor there because, it's all make-believe anyway, still 24 hours in a day. St. Patrick's Day is next Wednesday, March 17th. Do not forget to put on the green. Put on the green. There's places everywhere. I think a lot of this COVID-19 stuff, people are... I keep looking at my phone. Okay, you see these two notices up here. I've got one of those Ring doorbells. And every time something happens around my front door, I get notified. And apparently, this started yesterday. There's a young man in my neighborhood that jogs. And I bet he'll jog past my house 10 times. He did yesterday, that warning, someone's at your front door. There's motion at your front door kept on going off over and over and over. But anyway, all right, so where'd my pen go? There we go. All right. Talked about that. Sad news to report, not bad, but sad. The guy who invented the cassette tape has died. Lou Audens died. He was 94. Oh, I had spent many dollars, probably like a lot of you, on cassette tapes. But anyway, Matthew McConaughey, the actor from Texas, he'd be thinking about running for governor. I think we're going to be, if we got time, we're going to be talking about that. I think I got something in here about it. Don't I? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. What happened here? I had something else here. We're going to be talking about... Oh, I know where it is. If I had it, it's going to be over here. And I don't have it. Okay. Anyway, that's that. I don't know. Matthew McConaughey might be a good governor for Texas, maybe not. He's never announced his political party, but he seems to be leaning right. And we all know if he runs for governor and he does not run on a Democratic ticket, well, let me put it this way. If he runs on a Republican ticket, his acting career will be over. I mean, that's generally what happens out there in Hollywood. All right, let's get started. What are we talking about today? First, let's get into Q&A. Wyatt, we had a Q&A last week. Wyatt didn't make the cut. But anyway, Wyatt, we're going to get to your question today. He says, I only make 10% commissions, but I just started, and I've never been a broker before. It is our family's company, though. I feel like I should be at least making 30 to 40%. He's talking about commissions. Now, I'm assuming since you went up to 30 to 40%, you're talking about getting paid on net, which most agents are paid on load net. Now, 10% commission, well, yeah, that's real low. Unless it's 10% of gross. If you're getting 10% of gross, that's extremely high for an agent. In other words, if you move a load and you agree, the shipper agrees to pay you $1,000 to move the load, you're getting 10% off the top. That's $100. Okay, which I don't think. I think you're really talking about you're getting paid 10% on net. If you don't know what 10% of net is, or net is when we're talking about loads as a broker, it's the difference between what the customer paid the broker to move the load as opposed to what the broker paid the truck. So if the customer agreed to pay the broker $1,000 to move a load from point A to point B, and the broker got a truck and paid the truck $900, using the same example, there'd be a 10% net. See what I mean? Now, that 10% net would be $100. Now, if this was Wyatt's load, 10% commission means he only makes $10 on that load. 30 to 40% is pretty low. 40%, you say it's your family business, 40% is good if the business is paying for everything, your phones, the electricity, the coffee you drink, or tea, whatever it might be, and the load boards, the TMS. Yeah, if you're not having to pay any of that, yeah, absolutely. 40% be right in line. When I had an office years ago, we bring in contracted agents off the street and pay them 40% because we were furnishing everything. We were furnishing load boards and everything that went along with it. So, yeah, absolutely. Now, I will say this, and I think we hit on this pretty much every week, if not every week, at least once every month anyway. The average commission for an agent is 60% of net. Now, you may see some companies paying more, some paying a little bit less, but 60% is going to be in the ballpark. All right, very good. All right, what else is going on? News, headlines, trailer orders rise 82% in February to 24,200. Now, that's a rise, I'm guessing that's from a year ago. That's a good sign. Generally that's a good sign for the economy. We can use that as a good sign for the economy, but also keep in mind too that a lot of trailers that trucking companies have, some of them may be wearing out, and these trailers are replacing those old trailers. But a lot of times that means expansion. All right, we got that. We talked about the trailers. We've already talked about daylight savings time. We are on a roll this morning. Okay, let's get some business out of the way. If you have a question you'd like to see included here on the FBTV video podcast, whatever, I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to get it right. Still FBTV Podcast, bottom line. Well, first of all, you can call us 479-668-0213. That is our studio line. You can send us an email, drop me a line, fbtv@freightbrokertv.com. And I tell you what's been happening. Some of our clients from Taltoa That's where I am the lead broker, or the lead consultant rather. Some of my clients have been emailing me at that FBTV FreightBrokerTV.com address, and they've been wondering why it's taking several days to get a response. Well, they're sending it to the wrong address. It's got to be rerouted. But anyway, neither here nor there. On our website, FreightBrokerTV.com, we've got forums on every page. There is pretty much content, and there is a contact page there too. I'd like to see some of you do some of these telephones, though. It'd be fun to have different voices in here. Play your calls and stuff like that. If you want to do that, 479-668-0213. Don't forget, too, we have all kinds of swag, FBTV swag. Coffee mugs, T-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, all kinds of stuff like that. You'll find that at the FBTV store. And you'll see that in the best resources of the FBTV Insider, or on the FreightBrokerTV.com website. Just look for store. All right, very good. Okay, stimulus checks. Third round coming up. Matter of fact, word has it that some of you may have a check or money in the bank over the weekend. That's how quick this stuff's supposed to start. $1,400 stimulus check. It's different this time, though. And I don't understand why. After I read, I figured it out, but what is part of the $1.9 trillion package? Yeah, $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan is what the Democrats are calling it. But in order to avoid any type of filibuster from the Republicans, they rushed it through, and if you have unpaid debts, your creditor, and I'm assuming you've got to be behind on your debt, you just can't have an unpaid debt. But this time around, the creditor can reach in there and take it from you. Can you believe that? First of all, these $1,400 stimulus checks to me is an insult. I mean, I'm not going to turn them down. But they've been stalled and drug around. There's people that have lost cars. Their credit went south because they couldn't work, didn't have the money because of politicians that shut everything down. And I know people are going to say, but, we had to do what we had to do for the safety of the country. Maybe. You look at in California. Okay, that's obviously overreach. Look what's going on up there in New York with Cuomo and de Blasio. As far as that went, I mean, it's just been stupid. Oklahoma, they've, I think they just now are getting ready to have thrown away the mask. So you don't have to wear a mask anymore in Oklahoma. Arkansas, that's where I'm at. I believe that's getting ready to happen here too. Can't happen soon enough. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. $1,400 stimulus checks that is supposed to help people. Well, good luck if you got a creditor out there that you owe money to, and I'm assuming if you're behind, surely, I mean, we all have debts. Surely they're not going to reach in and take it just because. I mean, this has been weird. Anything can happen. It's 2021 after the last year. Who knows? All right, let's talk fuel prices here. Fuel prices keep on going up. Up and up and up and up and up. Matter of fact, let me go back here. Where is my fuel? Yeah, okay, fuel prices. Now, this is actually part of it. We might get to this next week, but I think today we're going to be pretty much running short on time just to talk about the fuel prices. But from DAT, and it was put out their DAT Trends or newsletter or whatever goes out in their email you can register for. 6 transportation trends to watch in 2021, and this is from DAT, the vaccine distribution. Now let me stop there. Vaccine distribution as a whole, it's not a big deal. for trucking. About 100 truckloads a month. Okay. But what it's doing the trickle down, and I know Democrats hate that word trickle down, but the trickle down, while the distribution efforts will not impact the majority of the trucking industry, the post-pandemic world, demands are going to increase, meaning the supplies are going to have to increase as well. So, over the course of the next few months, with the vaccines getting out, he did it again. See, he's going around the block. Every time he runs past my house, bloop. And you go out there and tell him, hey, take a different route. But anyway, with the vaccines getting distributed and people taking the vaccines, supposedly, markets should slowly start to come back to life. Things should start getting back to somewhat of a pre-COVID-19 level. You know, you can do what you want to do. I'm just not going to do it. I know the president wanting everybody to be vaccinated. I know the states wanting everybody to be vaccinated. I'm not doing it. Matter of fact, I'm seeing more and more stories where people get the vaccine and they die. I'm just not into that right now. You know, my question is, when it comes to those vaccines, 3 or 4 years from now, what's going to happen? These people getting that vaccine, that'd be a terrible thing. And there's no, you can't go back on the pharmaceutical companies and sue if they screwed it up. 3 or 4 years from now, you come down with liver failure or kidney problems or, the big C, whatever. But, hopefully that won't happen. Now, getting back to these 6 transportation trends. Okay, that is vaccine distribution, consumer spending, truck orders and sales. Then we get down here to fuel prices. Well, fuel prices. Fuel prices as of this week, diesel is up 7 cents per gallon. Up to $3.14 per gallon, $3.14 per gallon. Gasoline is up 6 cents per gallon, $2.77. And yes, friends, I bet we're at $3 a gallon for gasoline by Memorial Day. All right, now fuel prices. The average price of on-highway diesel slumped during 2020 and was $2.37 per gallon start November. This is just a few months ago. November 2020, November, December, January, February, March, 4 months ago. In the past 4 months, diesel has climbed 77 cents a gallon, from $2.37 to $3.14. That's nuts. And we've talked about this in the past, not going to get into that, about why I think, but are we being fleeced? Probably. Now, here's a story I came across yesterday locally. Local news story, I got to find it. Believe it or not, I got a lot of papers on my desk. I have to go through this for things we are trying to talk about in these podcasts. We call it show prep. All right. This happened yesterday. This happened yesterday in my area, my part of the world. Northwest Arkansas. I'm in Fort Smith. Semi-drivers who transport gas normally fill up in Fort Smith and Rogers. But today, there was no Fort Smith filling up. I'm talking about the tankers. The tankers fill up and deliver the gas to the Easy Marts and, Casey's and things like that around the area. They could not replenish or fill up the tanker at the storage terminals here locally in Fort Smith. They had to go to Northwest Arkansas to get fuel. So that created a logjam because trucks that normally load their tankers up with fuel up in that part of the world, they were also having to be in line with the trucks coming up from my part of the world. So it created a terrible, terrible thing. Magellan Midstream owns the storage terminals here in Fort Smith and up in Rogers, Arkansas, and confirmed the backup in Northwest Arkansas is due to semis from Fort Smith having to drive to Rogers to get gasoline. They can't get gasoline in Fort Smith terminal because there is none. And when I say, the terminals, the storage facilities, I'm not talking about, just an oversized looking propane tank in the backyard you might see. I'm talking about, what you see down on the ports where they store oil. Maybe not that big, but you get the idea. It's large. I should have got a picture of one and showed you. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. You'll see them. They're empty. So what's causing all this? Well, pipelines and terminals are operating normally from a mechanical standpoint, is what they say. This is from Magellan. They issued a statement yesterday. However, due to the recent cold weather in Texas and the Midwest, several of the refineries were taken out of service. They say many of the affected refineries have resumed operations, but there are occasions when they are encountering short-term supply outages at certain terminals. So, the tanker has to drive an extra 100 miles to get the fuel. I'm talking about going up there and coming back. Ballpark, 100 miles. Okay, that's going to add more cost to the fuel in Fort Smith, in my area. This is all getting kind of nuts, And there are things happening, and my wife and I were talking about this the other day. We can probably trace this back. Well, we just did. I just did, didn't I? Hold on just a second. And I think that's what they put here. That boy, he did it again. He's passing my house again. Wait a minute, where did I put it? This is all adding up. It's proving what I was saying the other day. The election was in November. I'm talking presidential. $2.37 a gallon in November. Since the presidential election, fuel has gone up 77 cents per gallon. Do the math. You see what I'm saying? Do the math. Now, it was my part of the world, it got cold. I can see some of those refineries being taken offline and having an issue for the simple reason. I'm in Fort Smith, it got 10 below. That was the temp. That was a temperature, not a wind chill. We just don't get that code. Then you go down to Texas and you see all that. You see those people down there. I saw stories where people were getting hit $17,000 electric bills. It's crazy. Speaking of cold weather, we'll wrap it up with this. This is kind of wild, kind of sad, but wild. Back in January, a couple of months ago, 40-year-old Andrew suddenly disappeared after stepping out of his parents' home in New Jersey during a snowstorm, which dumped as much as 2 feet of snow in some parts of the state. Andrew's parents said their son had come to help them dig out from the impending blizzard. So they thought their son had just gone to the garage to get a soda. He never came back. Well, this week, just the other day, the snow melted enough, and there was Andrew. He had passed. And, Monday, a neighbor had called authorities to report an unresponsive male lying on her lawn under melting snow. It was Andrew. That is a trip. And the parents, I thought, he went out to get a soda, went home, whatever. But his car had been there. Elderly, you could be 21, 61, something like, could be my age. But that was trippy to me. I read that and I thought, wow, that's a trip. That's a trip. All right. TGIF Friday. Go have a good weekend. Great Friday. Unless, of course, you've made other plans, and I will see you next week. Have a good weekend.